houses. This reading is for Capricorn. We're just doing a fast reading today to see what you need. I did say this was a new channel, but I think that everyone knows what the channels are at this point. I've said the same thing in all of the videos. So if there's something that you think that you need, certainly leave that down in the comments, and I will try to fill that in for you as we go. I also mentioned that there are 3 decks that I'm using, and that, in my experience, and I apologize if you're watching the other videos and you're hearing me say the same thing, I know that people ask the same questions, which I've mentioned I think is a very good thing. They ask about love, they ask about money, they ask about things that will benefit them in their everyday lives, and this is important because it keeps you happy and healthy and functioning well with everyone else. So let's begin. Okay. So, Capricorn, it looks like you are feeling a little stuck. And not very flexible right now. You just look like you're not very, like there are a lot of ideas being thrown at you, and you really have your own way of thinking right now. And I've said this in the other pieces, and let me reiterate it again. Please don't get nervous when you see cards. The cards are not the end of the world. They're just a guide. Let me worry about it and tell you what I see, because there are so many combinations of these cards, and they really mean much different things depending on what they're paired with. It looks like it's funny. There's really a theme here with a lot of the signs. There was really the death of a way of thinking, and now you are not moving from that idea. You're just not doing it. And that can be okay sometimes. You feel that this way of thinking really brought you into something new and valuable. Now again, I've said this as well. A lot of readers have a different way of reading. You may go to a lot of different channels and hear them reading one card a certain way, and if that makes you uneasy or uncomfortable, that's okay. You know, this is how I do mine, and if it's something that makes you a little uneasy, I would encourage you to just stay open, Capricorns. But if it's something that you're not able to do right now, that's okay. There are lots of other readers, and you go where you feel most at ease. But in terms of this card, I know it's read a similar way now. But I've been doing cards for a long time, and what I'm telling you is that this way of thinking that you are currently in, you value because it's important to you. You were really locked in an old way of thinking. You found this new way of thinking, and you really do not want to move out of it. And I think people were noticing. People were noticing there was an improvement in you for the better. So these are all nice things. You were building something new. You were sort of looking over what you had built with pride, and feeling good about it. You were building up a little bit of a nest egg. And again, if this was a relationship, because I know we like to touch on that too, this could have been a new person. Or if you were single, maybe you decided to just take better care of yourself. Maybe you struggled with deciding to not pair up, or maybe you went with a relationship that was entirely outside of something culturally that was acceptable, a career that was not something that your family would have approved of, but it worked. It was a good thing. It didn't come very quickly, this new way of thinking. You had to work on it. People were concerned financially what would go on. So if this was a relationship, maybe this was someone you paired with who didn't have a lot of money. If you were getting ready to live a single life, people were concerned maybe financially you would not be okay. If this was business, they were concerned you were going into a line of work where there was not a great deal of money. People were concerned about how you would be perceived by other people. You know, again, if this was a cultural issue, that can be very strong. Those ties can be very strong and hard to break, hard to convince family of. If you have family and they maybe have a trade, and that trade has been passed down and you want to break out of it and, for instance, go into entertainment, that's very, very difficult to convince them, and they feel that there's pride in announcing that you have a trade, and maybe not the same connotation, just as an example, with entertainment. They don't feel it's the same sort of thing. But you will see results with this. And they're coming soon. I would say maybe 1 to 3 months. So it's December now. Maybe by the spring, you'll see something. And when I say something, because I know that's vague, something that will satisfy you for taking the venture in the first place, with this new way of thinking, something, or maybe the next milestone. So if it's a business, maybe you something comes in and it's enough of a windfall to keep you going, and you say, yes, I want to continue. If it's a relationship, maybe the person will say, let's really take it to the next level, or maybe they will do something where you can bring it back to your family and be proud and say, listen, this was worth it. Something that really keeps you going. It makes you feel like you don't really care so much. And let's do some other cards so we can try to get a little more on that. And I apologize if I'm trying to do a setup in a very, I have a lot of space, but the way this is set up is kind of funny right now, so please be patient with me, guys, because when I say guys, I mean ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we can get something up here for you. So, the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups keeps coming up, and I think that's, and it's in reverse. The Ten of Cups, again, it's just a bit of a holdup, I think, in what you're looking for. Let's pull another deck. I think it's just a holdup. You know, anytime you're starting something new, it's very hard. I think especially today, when everything is supposed to be instantaneous, it's very hard to wait, and people feel they're really programmed to look for everything being instant, and people that are successful don't talk enough about the waiting that they did in between their successes, when they've made a radical shift, and the process, and it is a process. So Capricorn, please don't worry too much. Seven of Cups, so again, a lot of cups. Again, the fact that they're reversed isn't so much of an issue. You know, I would just hang in there a little bit, and you know what, I hate to leave a reading on a reversal, because even though I might feel okay about it, I know sometimes you guys don't. So let me pull one more card. So you have the Tower. Again, don't panic about these cards. I think I said it in Sagittarius reading. Let me just interpret the combination of them. We've already talked about this. You know, you've had a big change in the way you thought. And you've already moved out of that position of being bound by that old way of thinking. That's what we talked about at the start. You probably had a lot of sleepless nights thinking, should I do this? Should I not do this? What do I do? It probably shook your whole world up to make that change. You might have even given up some of your money to change that. Maybe you changed your address to make that change, right? You might have even really reevaluated who you were supposed to be with, or again, that love of what you were doing in your career had a drastic change. And in the end, it takes time. You know, I mean, this is a great card. It talks about you really understanding what it is to sacrifice. You know, I just talked about it. You have these really great entrepreneurs and people that are very successful, and they often don't talk enough about the process that they've gone through. So this card is, it's one of success, you know, and knowing what it is to sacrifice. And that's wonderful. You really appreciate things like that. I think it's something that allows you to become an example for other people. And again, if you look at the order of the cards here, see, we talked about down here, people noticing you, coming to you because you're an example. So that's great. Thank you for sitting with me for a while, Capricorn. Come back and let's do this again sometime. Take care.